Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here. I'm bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Liael Amorta deck profile. This is the Faded One of Time, or the 7th Faded One from the Cardfight Vanguard Divine series. It was in the new Illusionless Strife booster support, being the one used by Akina's future sister for the Faded One of Time ability of being able to basically just ride a whole new grade 3 Liael Amorta as your Vanguard for its Divine skill, while having some guard properties as well as setup for other cards on the field as well. So very good for resetting up cards for you to use on the field also, depending on the card. But let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and we will start off with the ride deck. For our ride deck, we have the energy generator. Our starter is player of the Oliphant, Belnista. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is player of the lovely Harp, Adorphus. When rode upon by player of the beautiful Chord, Elengia, you Soul Blast 1, draw 2 cards, choose up to 1 normal unit from your hand, discard it. If you did not discard a normal unit, choose 2 cards from your hand, discard them. So you should at least have the normal unit to be able to discard. It's just getting through cards in the deck for you to have better cards for setup in your hand, with our grade 2 being player of the beautiful Chord, Elegenia. When rode upon by a grade 3 with Liael and its card name, choose any number of normal units from your drop, put them on the bottom of the deck in any order. If you chose 3 or more cards, draw a card. So this is also just to help with the need for units of the same name for your go-to grade 3 Faded One of Time Liael Amorta, since we have the setup in the ride deck. Additionally, with the rest of the deck, we do want to run 3 more copies of Liael Amorta. Sadly, I only had the additional 2, so we have 1 Divine Sister Bugne as a backup spot. I'm not sure if I'm going to build this deck yet or not. I have some of the stuff gathered up, but I wanted to get the deck profile out to you all because it was one of the last decks from Illusionless Strife that needed to be released, and we have set 3 right around the corner. But with this unit on Vanguard, when it attacks, counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards, bind it, search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as that card, call it to rear guard, and shuffle the deck. So you need multiple names of cards in the deck, and when this unit's put on the guard circle, discard a card from your hand and put 2 cards from your bind zone on the bottom of the deck in any order. Choose one of your units with Faded One in its card name, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle, giving you sort of like a sentinel ability for your grade 3 to be able to use as extra protection. And on the Divine skill Vanguard, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, choose a card with the same card name as this unit from your drop, and you may ride it as stand. If you rode, that unit gets drive -1 till the end of the turn. So the one that you guard with for your Liael Amorta can then be placed from the drop zone on top of your Vanguard as the Divine skill. Play sets that up, and riding it means you do also activate your Persona Ride as well. So great setup along with additional power for you to use, because then when you attack with your Vanguard, being able to choose a rear guard that's, let's say, already attacked and call out something with the same name as it also. For the next spot, this can either be a grade 3 or a grade 2 spot, and I had varying cards in this spot for a particular suggestion. If you wanted to run one of the 3, then you'd run all 3 in this spot. It's mostly so you run the same name to have with Liael Amorta, but some cards a little more pricier than the others. We have Suggest, Tayfault, or Cadwalla. If you want to run any one of these 3 cards in the spot, you can choose that one card and run it in all 3 of these spots here. It's just the player preference depending on the budget you want to run for what you want to place in this spot. For the next grade 2 lineup, I do want to run 4 copies of Sword Saint of Itinerant Idaris, but I have the Danseus of Slender Sword Diana as just a placeholder for this card, because like I said, don't know if I want to build this deck yet. A couple other decks coming out that I'm more excited to build, but still, with Sword Saint of Itinerant Idaris on rear guard during your turn, if your bind zone is a card with the same card name as this unit, it gets plus 10,000 power. So this card being called out with Liael Amorta's skill will give it the additional plus 10 along with its Persona Ride power. And when it's bound on rear guard during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Liael and its card name, Soul Blast 1, draw a card, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets plus 5 till the end of the turn, giving you power to your Vanguard, but also giving you draw power by just doing what the deck is meant to do: bind your rear guards to be able to call out new ones. And also 3 copies of Divine Sister Biscotti for the added use of the energy generator for drawing cards using this card, whether it's for a counterblast or an energy blast. And then when it's placed on rear guard, if you Persona Row this turn, you can energy blast 3 or counterblast 1 to check the top 3 of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it on the top of the deck, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. And if it's the battle phase, you may call it to rear guard instead of putting on the top of the deck for more setup also. And then for the next spot, it's the grade 1 lineup. Now, with this one being another pricier card, I do want to run Surgon in this spot, but if you don't have it, you can always run Gregon as an additional card to use when it's placed by the ability of your Vanguard. If your unit was placed by the ability of your Vanguard with Divine Skill, which Liael Amorta has, you have this unit get on rearguard at the end of battle attacked and boosted, retire it to countercharge 1, and it gets plus 5,000. So an additional countercharge option. Surgon sets up more for retiring to check the top 2 cards of your deck, putting one into the hand and the rest on the bottom of the deck, just to kind of filter through the deck for more needed cards. But if you want to run Gregon, it can be just as good for this spot. With our other grade 1s being 4 copies of a light Egret for the plus 5 on shield or power when it's on rearguard or the guard circle if you have a Vanguard with Liael in its card name. And 2 copies of Magic of Stimulants, Euphoria. On rearguard during the battle, this unit boosted. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Liael in its card name, it gets plus 5,000. And on rearguard, when this unit boosts to grade 3 Vanguard with Liael in its card name, it gets plus 2,000. And you can Soul Blast 1 and choose a card with the same card name as any of your units from your drop, put it on the bottom of the deck. Choose one of your units and it gets plus 5 to end a turn. More recycle power, which is definitely needed with all the multiple names we like to do in this deck also. I also run the 3 copies of Obligator Dragon, since we do run the 1 order spot, being our Wisdom of the Beginning that cleared the world for more additional draw and setup power. This card can just help to set that order up in the drop zone and then activate it from the drop by just placing it on the bottom of the deck instead, just by discarding a card from our hand. And for the Sentinel spot, the 1 Elementaria Sanctitude and the 3 copies of Bringer of Protection, Sithalon, for the Sentinel choice, and then the triple guard power of our Elementaria Sanctitude. For the last of the orders, the 3 copies of Wisdom Beginning that cleared the world for a counterblast 1, draw 2, choosing 2 cards from your hand, call them to rearguard if the grade of each of them is less than or equal to your Vanguard, and discard them if not. More setup on the field for you and your units, just making a board presence without having to get rid of any of the cards that you drew. And lastly, the 1 copy of Gradius Cordell as an added Persona Ride option in the deck. For our trigger lineup, we're going with the 8 critical, just for the re-ride Vanguard pressure. So 4 copies of Blade Feather Dragon and 4 copies of Shival Mia. The next trigger spot is the front trigger, Bard of Heavenly Song Alpac, just for the front trigger options as well off the drive check, since we have fresh new rear guards that will be placed thanks to our Vanguard also. And then the 4 copies of Bringer of Distant Sounds Airness for the heal spot, with our over trigger being Spiritual King of Ignition Valnut for the added rear guard pressure of being able to attack and then restand again with those units also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, I kind of held off because I was seeing if I could collect up the cards for the Liael Amorta deck, but wasn't really grabbing them as fast as I was hoping for the video, but still wanted to give you an update of my take on the Fated One of Time deck. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.